This is a tutorial about how to create a works cited page in MLA format. Now, when you are researching for an essay, I highly recommend that you use the Western Piedmont databases, and you can access that through the library page. So if you click on library, and then you scroll down to online resources, and then here you have a list of all the different databases. Now, the reason why I tell students to use the databases is that these databases contain scholarly, academic, credible, relevant articles. And you can't go wrong with any of these articles. And the really good thing is that the databases cite information for you. So all you do is copy and paste. And the ones I recommend are NC Live, Academic One File, and at the very bottom, Opposing Viewpoints is another really good one. So let's go to NC Live for a second. Let's just say I'm researching information about breast cancer. Let's just say I'm trying to find some information about breast cancer. So in NC Live, and if you're off campus, you're likely going to have to log in with your username and password that you would get into Moodle or your email. So it looks a little different here because I am on campus right now. In your search, you want to type in search terms. Now you can type in your topic, you can type in the effects of breast cancer, causes of breast cancer, cure, or not cure, but treatments of breast cancer, or if there are cures being researched and developed. There's tons of different search terms you can put in here. But once you put it in, it's going to give you lists of scholarly articles, news and magazine articles, and so forth. And I would suggest students work out of these two columns right here. When you get into books, you're really taking on a lot of reading. So let's just say I'll look at this one and it fits within my essay topic, what I want to write about. And I have to make sure that my research does connect and relate to what I am writing about. You can't just throw research in there. You have to make sure you plan your writing out first, even outline, and then figure out where research might benefit your paper and where it would fit in. So let's just say I'm looking at this and I scroll through, and actually this is not an article. This is more or less just an abstract and gives details. So actually here's the PDF. Let's click on the PDF. And it'll come up. It'll give you the article here, and then you can kind of scroll through and determine if there's anything in here that you would like to use that is relevant to what you're writing about in your essay. Okay, so that's the PDF version, which means there's going to be page numbers. So once you've read over that, you want to go back, and if you look up here in the right corner, there's a little cite tool. Click on that, and it'll automatically come up MLA 8th edition. So if you have to, in other classes, if you have to write in a certain format, you can click this right here. APA is another popular one that's used in psychology. It's used in English 112 and so forth. But we're working with MLA 8th edition, and it comes up default. So then you're going to take this, and you're going to highlight it, and you're going to right click and then copy. And down here at the bottom, you want to have a Word document pulled up, and then you just right click and then just go ahead and paste. Okay. All right. So there's one article we're going to use. And so let me go in and see if I can find another. Let's see, how to reduce breast cancer threat. Let's look at this one. And let's just say, it's not as easy as just going through here and clicking 2 articles and boom, you've got your sources. It's going to take some time for you to figure out what works best for your particular paper and what fits. That didn't seem to go anywhere. Let's find another one. Let's see. Can eating more fiber help prevent breast cancer? Okay. And again, by this point, I've already outlined, I've already got my ideas down, so I know what I'm going to write about. I need to know what I'm going to write about first before I can plug in research. Okay, let's just say I found some really good information in this source. All right, I'm going to go up here to the Cite tool, and comes up 8th edition. I'm going to right click, copy, and I'm going to list this one on my works cited page or my Word document. It'll soon to be my works cited page. And let's just say I can't find any more sources and I want to look online and I want to use the internet to find sources. So let's just say I want to go up into the search box and I want to type in breast cancer causes. Okay. And then I'm going to kind of read through. And Mayo Clinic is usually a valid source. WebMD is usually a valid source. So let's click on that. And the thing about using online sources is that there's not a cite tool. So you actually have to gather the information on your own to create a citation. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to pull up Citation Machine. .net, and then I'm going to put MLA 8th edition. Okay. And it'll come up, and what I would need to do is I would need to fill in this information. Fill in based on my article. So if I'm looking here, my article title is just going to be breast cancer. So let me just fill that in. There's no author that I'm aware of. I don't think there's an author. This is just an informational page. And even if I scroll to the bottom, sometimes it'll give the author at the bottom if there is one. But it says like by Mayo Clinic staff. That's generic, which means there's no one set known author. So you can leave that off. So if there's no known author, you're going to leave the author right here. You're going to leave it blank. And the title is breast cancer. And I know some of the articles don't capitalize their titles. Like if you look back at this screen, it does not capitalize it. Always capitalize your titles. I just say that's just good practice. The author will be left blank because there isn't one. The website title is Mayo Clinic. Okay, and there's no sponsor. Now the URL, let me just go up here and I'm just going to copy and paste this right here. Copy and then paste in the URL. And electronically published, let's see if there's a publication date, and there may not be. There's not one with the staff right here. There is a date right here, but I don't think that goes with that. So what I usually tell students to do is to go down to the very, very bottom where you see the copyright, and I would use the most recent year. Okay, so I'm just going to put 2021. All right, and that's all I'm going to include because that's all that this particular website offers. But you do definitely need to make sure that you really look into the articles to make sure that you're not leaving any of these out, okay, that they provide. So I'm going to put update citation, and here it is. So I'm going to copy citation, and then I'm going to pull up my Word document. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to paste. Okay, let's just say that I'm only going to use 3 sources because that's what the requirements were. I'm going to have to figure out, okay, how do I put this in correct MLA format to make a works cited page? Because all I've done right now is just copied and pasted my links. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up here in Moodle. I'm going to pull up the MLA cheat sheet that's in the MLA resources, documents, and tutorials folder. I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to use this as my guide to help me format a correct works cited page. So you see right here, it gives you kind of like a little checklist. Like the title works cited should be centered at the top. This page should be double spaced. All sources should be put in ABC order. All citations should incorporate hanging indentation. Small works are put in quotation marks and large works are italicized. So you have to make sure, and I should add here too, that there's no spacing in between your citations, and your citations should also be 12 font Times New Roman, just like the rest of your essay. So let's go back to this page and let's go ahead and start formatting. So what we want to do is we want to highlight, and then go up here to the top and make it 12 font, and then make it Times New Roman. Okay, so we've done that. We need to make sure that each source has hanging indentation and that they're double spaced. This one has hanging indentation. It copied and pasted like that, but the others did not. So we have to make sure it looks all the same. And then over here, you have line spacing. It needs to be double and then 0. And then up here where it says special, click on hanging and then go to OK. And there we have double spacing, hanging indentation, and so forth. But look, we've got a little bit of formatting error here. So we're going to need to move this over. See, sometimes it totally takes some playing around. All right, okay, now let me highlight these again, and let's get the hanging put in here. See, there we go. So we got that, and I'm taking the space out in between the citations, and I'm going to go ahead and enter down 2 times because up here I have to center Works Cited, okay? This is for MLA. That's the title you should have. And then if you look, the sources now are in 12 font Times New Roman. They're double spaced. They have hanging indentation, which is the first line is left aligned, and then all the lines thereafter in that same citation are indented. And I just showed you how to do that up here. But they're not in ABC order. So we have to put the sources in ABC order. But the one thing is whenever you're putting them in ABC order using the A to Z button, it won't recognize the quotation marks here. So what I always tell students to do, if you have a source that begins with a title that doesn't have an author, take out those first quotes and then highlight and go up here to A to Z, and you don't change anything, you just click OK. And it will put it in correct, hang on 1 second, there we go. It'll put it in correct ABC order. Beck, then you've got BR, then you've got DE. Okay? And as of right now, if you go back through, you've got the small works. They're in quotation marks. You've got, and I need to add, ooh, I forgot. Make sure you add those quotations back after you put the sources in alphabetical order. Always add the quotations back. Then you've got, so you've got the small works in quotes, just as you do in each one. Then you have the large works in each one. They're italicized. Here it's italicized, and here it's italicized. And you have now a correct MLA formatted Works Cited page. And this is what it should look like. And if you go into Moodle, into that MLA resources, documents, and tutorials, if you pull up sample MLA Works Cited page, it will give you a sample. And your sample should look like this, formatting wise, punctuation wise. It's very important that everything be correct. Okay? And so when, let me pull up my Works Cited again. Okay, when we have this page correct, the citations within your essay are going to be correct as well, because what you do is you look at this Works Cited page and you say, okay, what's listed first? All right, so here, Beck is listed first. Here, it's the title of the small work that's listed first. And here, you have an author, but you have what's called et al. Right here, and et al. Means and others, which means there's more than probably 4 authors of this same source. So that's important to know when we cite this source within our essay. So if we had our essay pulled up and we're plugging in information from these individual sources, whenever we cite this first source within our essay, I'm just going to show you down here at the bottom of the page. You give the citation, Beck, and then there's no page numbers because you do need to look in here and see if there are any page numbers offered, and there's not. So you put Beck in parentheses, or you give the quote first. Let's do that. So you give the quote or whatever you're using from that source, and then you have the citation. So, and you would do that for the same. Let me know if you have questions.